You can eat more food and lose weight? Is that true? I'm Pat with Infinite Fitness, and I have been a nutrition and fitness coach for over 10 years. And I've seen this very pervasive idea that it's possible to eat more food and lose weight. Now, while this is true in some respects, I want to break down the nuance surrounding it. The first thing I want to point out here is that it is impossible to lose fat without a reduction in overall calorie intake. Now, in order to understand this, we have to break down the way that fat loss works. So when you eat more calories than your body needs, you store it as body fat on your body. What this body fat is it's basically stored energy that you've consumed through calories throughout your lifetime. Now, this stored energy stays there until it is liberated by a calorie deficit. Now, the reason why a calorie deficit liberates body fat is because body fat is stored energy, and calories are your body's main source of energy. When you restrict energy from your body and consume less calories, your body liberates body fat, breaks it down, and uses it for energy, which is what creates fat loss. It is impossible to lose weight without some type of caloric restriction, whether that be by burning more calories through activity or by consuming less calories through the things that you eat on a daily basis. So the question becomes, if you need to restrict calories or consume less calories or burn more calories to lose body fat, how can you eat more food and see fat loss? This is where the nuance begins. The best way to understand this concept is to think about food on a continuum, from minimally processed to highly processed. So an example of a minimally processed food would be a raw chicken breast that has yet to be cooked. It's very close to its natural state. Obviously, it has been cleaned and cut and all of the above, but it's still very minimally processed. Now, on the other side of the continuum, we can think about something like chicken parmesan. It's been cooked, it's been fried, it's been covered in breading, it's been covered in cheese and mozzarella sauce, and it also tastes absolutely delicious if you like chicken parmesan like I do. So in order to understand this, as we move throughout the processed continuum, usually more calories are added to a food the more that it gets processed. So use the example of a chicken breast. In its raw natural state, all we have is the chicken breast. When we add the breading, we are adding more calories. When we fry it in oil, we are adding more calories. When we add cheese to it, we are adding more calories. When we add sauce to it, we are adding more calories. So by the end of this process, we have a very calorie-dense food. And this is where eating more can sometimes lead to fat loss based on the types of foods that you are choosing. So typically, when somebody starts a nutrition and fitness journey, one of the first steps that many people take is by trying to improve the things that they eat. So for example, let's say that someone is not eating vegetables or fruits or complex carbohydrates or proteins. They may begin to add some of these things into their diet. When you begin to eat more minimally processed food, a few things happen. When you're fueling your body better, you end up feeling more full because foods like this increase what is called satiety or satisfaction. So if you're eating more high quality food, you may be eating a higher volume of food, but you end up consuming less calories. Let's break this down in a real world example. So we all have that friend or know that person that says, I barely eat anything, I just can't lose weight. If we look at a typical day-to-day in their life, it could look something like this. You wake up, drive to Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts, get a coffee, get a donut, boom, you've already consumed around 600 calories for breakfast, and that donut is not going to keep you full for all that long. Then, by the time that you get to work, your body has already burned through a decent amount of the energy in that donut, and now you get a craving for something because it's not keeping you full throughout the morning. So maybe you grab a handful of nuts or trail mix or something else. That might hold you over for a little while, but again, trail mix is a very calorie-dense food, and it's going to add to your overall daily caloric intake. Then lunch rolls around. this person didn't pack a high quality or healthy lunch. They rely on either fast food or some form of takeout, which is going to be more processed to make it tastier. The fast food might get the person through the end of the day, but then by the time the workday rolls around, they are getting hungry again because that meal that they ate for lunch was not satisfying. Now they may stop on their way home to grab a snack or even pick up something at the gas station to hold them over before they get home for dinner. By the time they get home for dinner, they may not have anything prepared. If they don't have anything prepared, they're likely to snack on things as they cook their meal and put it together. Now, even if they have a really high quality dinner made up of a balanced meal, they've already consumed so many extra calories throughout the day that they are going to have a really hard time being in a calorie deficit. Now, let's say this person changed their habits and started eating a balanced breakfast, lunch, and dinner each day. A few things are likely to happen. One, they are likely to consume less calories because they are going to be consuming more minimally processed food. A 500 calorie donut is higher in calories than eggs, oatmeal, and vegetables, peppers, onions, things like that combined. However, the volume of food that someone is going to be consuming if they're relying on more minimally processed food is going to be higher. So their overall caloric intake is likely to be lower. The other thing that is likely to happen is because they're fueling their body more properly, they are less likely to get hungry between their meals and want to snack, which will also lead to a reduction in overall calories. This is where the nuance of eating more food and losing body fat comes into play. It is very possible to eat a higher volume of food and see fat loss. In many cases, it's probably required to do so. However, it is impossible to eat more calories and see fat loss. There has to be some type of caloric reduction. The reason why this matters is that in order to see fat loss, it can be very beneficial for many people to add things to their diet before they start taking things away. So for example, instead of trying to snack less, it can be beneficial to try to eat more high quality meals or more balanced meals or more minimally processed food throughout the day. When someone does things like this and adds more to their diet, more good quality food to their diet, they are more likely to end up consuming less highly processed or low quality food in their diet. So to make this really simple, it is possible to eat a higher food volume and still see fat loss. However, it is impossible to eat more calories and see fat loss. You have to reduce your calories in order to see the changes that you're looking for. But to do so, eating more minimally processed and high quality food can be helpful. So the next time somebody tells you, I ate more and I lost weight, make sure that you take that with a grain of salt because they don't mean that they ate more calories. They mean that they probably ate more high quality food, which led to an overall reduction in overall caloric intake. Are you somebody that's interested in hearing more about the nuances around common fitness topics? Make sure to hit that subscribe button for more fitness tips.